for episode 9. You're with myself, Michael Donaldson, the editor of Pursuit of Hoppiness, and my ever-reliable co-host,
Martin Bridges, the beer bigwig.
Yes.
Good to be back.
Yeah. Even though we probably saw enough of each other over the weekend in Wellington, where we were hosting live recordings of the Third Pint Theory at Beervana, and it was great, wasn't it, Martin? It was a really good event.
I think so. I think I always enjoy Beervana. I think it was a bit of a different experience for me this year. I think this is the first time I've worked at Beervana, so I certainly didn't consume as much as I would have done in previous years.
Yeah,
But
correct. Yeah,
I think the vibe of the festival was excellent, and as you say, the live recordings we did 6 question and answer sessions with brewers, and they were really well attended. We got some great audience engagement. They got to try some amazing beers, and we recorded those, and I came back and listened to the recordings the other day, and they sound really good. So I'm working through doing a bit of editing on those, and we'll figure out how we're going to release that content to the podcast over the next few weeks.
Yeah. In particular, I think that session we did with Garage Project and Brave, with the 3 vintages of Chance, Luck, and Magic. I don't know. It was just really special. Like, Garage Project were
It was mind-blowing, really.
Yeah, they were incredibly generous. Anyone who was there will know. Like, we got some 2021, which was New Zealand's champion beer at the New Zealand Beer Awards this year, and almost impossible to get your hands on it. And then magnums of the 2022 and the 2023. Plus Dave Bell from Wild Workshop and Pete Gillespie from Garage Project talking about like the process of making it. It was just really cool, and it's a good episode. I've listened back on that. Good content. Like Pete is very funny.
He is. I 2 people come up to me later in the weekend and say that they attended that session, and that was the highlight of their Beervana Friday day session. So I was flattered to hear that, and but I can understand that, getting to do a 3-year vertical of Chance, Luck, and Magic. It's just not something that you get to do, and to get to do it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
With the brewer sat there talking you through it. It's that was a really special event.
Yeah, it was. And thank you to everyone who turned up and asked really good questions. There was some in there that, I think, who was it who asked where Brave Brewing got the name for Tiger Milk? There was somebody asked that question.
Yeah, somebody asked that question and got a great answer, which is the question I should have asked when I interviewed Matt and Gemma at the brewery, and I failed in that regard. But somebody, so you'll have to listen to when we put that episode out to get the story behind.
Yeah, like I always thought it was a reference to. Like I was actually reading a novel by Dashiell Hammett, that sort of 1930s noir detective genre, and definitely there was that this book was written in the either late 20s or early 30s, and they refer to Tiger Milk in there as just for high alcohol, I think. And I just assumed that's where it came from, but no, we will reveal at a later date.
Absolutely.
Outside blowing our own trumpets, Martin. I thought the other session that was really entertaining, I will just comment, was George Duncan and Joe Eamons from Three Sisters, and George from Duncan's, of course, and those outrageous beers that they both brought along.
Yeah.
I had to write down the name of it was the Three Sisters one was called Thickotropic.
Yeah.
And
looked like a jug of custard.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Joe turned up with this big 2-liter jug, and it looked for all the world like a jug of custard.
Yeah, yeah.
Did not taste like a jug of custard.
No, it was beautiful, and they actually and Duncan's chocolate peanut butter slab imperial stout, was it? Yeah, it was just chocolatey and peanutty, and it was it was amazing.
Yeah, it was like a Whittaker's peanut slab in a glass.
Yeah,
which I think is exactly what they were aiming for. And
yeah,
they pulled it off.
Yeah. But it's just we're going to talk a little bit more about Beervana, and then we're going to move on to the New World Beer and Cider Awards, which disclaimer, I am involved in as the chair of judges, but I had nothing to do with the release date of the winners, which was the Monday after Beervana. I don't know if that was the best timing or not. Maybe it just was riding on the coattails of Beervana, but it's made for a busy week, I can assure you of that. But yeah, outside of our Q&As, some highlights, Martin. I think for me, and I set you off on this journey, and I think you agree, the ice cream made by Garage Project from their Bastard Rye Imperial, I think it's an Imperial Stout, a 12% beer turned into a soft serve ice cream that looks exactly like something you would get from Mr. Whippy, and is apparently 4% ABV. And
so don't give it to your children.
No, it tastes like a rum and raisin ice cream, the best rum and raisin ice cream you've ever had. So that, like, I didn't expect to be blown away by an ice cream, and I know it's gimmicky and whatever, but man, they executed that well.
Absolutely, and I agree. It was my beer of the day of that Beervana on Friday was an ice cream. It was, to me, I think it did taste, you could still tell it was a beer at heart, but it tasted like it was the perfect ice cream.
Yeah. I did ask Pete from Garage Project, how did you do this? And the answer was a lot of stabilizers. But it's because I just couldn't see how you can turn beer into ice cream. But there you go. They are magicians, those people. So yeah.
One of the other highlights to me, where it was just thinking of Garage Project, was because they make these crazy beers. They also had like a chocolate imperial stout with chocolate foam and all sorts of other things. And then they had a German Pilsner, which was absolutely like bang down the line, clean, style appropriate German Pilsner. It was, and to me that was up there with one of my favorite beers of the festival too. And I've got hopefully 4 cans being delivered to my house today. So it was that good. And it's just that they can do the crazy stuff, but they can also do the classic styles and do them so well. And that was and to me that's one of the beauties of Beervana. You can have crazy stunt beers, but you can have an absolutely well-made lager. You can have an absolutely cracking IPA, the Loki Doki and the Tiger Milk from Brave were on absolute form. You know, the rice lager from
Oh yeah, that was St. Leonard's. Yeah, yeah,
it was superb. So you can have a straightforward, really well made classic style, or you can have something that is bright green, or is
yeah.
an ice cream, or has dried ants on it. You
Yes.
know,
Did you
something
try the
for everybody.
ants?
I
Did
did
you?
not try the ants.
Ah,
You
I
did.
did. I did. Because I think, well, you only live once. And I'm not a vegan. And okay, like, uh, they looked weird. This was Altitude Brewing, lemon curd and fresh strawberry sour, which was a nice beer in its own right. And yes, you could have it with dried green ants sprinkled on top, which made you think you were at the Hokitika Wild Food Festival or something similar. And they were interesting. They were crunchy initially, but then they sort of got absorbed into the beer, and you sort of had to sort of pick them out a little bit. And they gave a little bit of a savoury note. But yeah, it was a gimmick. I didn't love it, but I loved that it existed as a possibility.
Hmm.
So, uh, my favourite beer, apart from the ice cream, which I'll, for the purposes of assessment, I will class as an ice cream. But the beer I really loved, and I went to Emerson's stand because I wanted some of that Indian food from the G spot or the Ghee spot, the Indian food they had there, which was amazing. And I wanted a beer to go with that. And Richard was behind the stand, and I said, I'd like their ghost chili saison. And I do like a chili beer. And I only wanted a taster, just to sit, because you got to pace yourself. And Richard filled the glass up. And I was like, oh, this is really annoying because now I have to drink it all. And I didn't really want to drink it all because, but my God, I was glad I had the whole glass. It was beautiful. It was really well balanced. Nice chili heat, great saison base. Yeah, beautiful
Yeah,
beer.
I was a bit nervous of that because ghost chilies are crazy things. They are
Yeah.
those are lunatic food.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was a bit nervous, and I did have the taster.
Yeah.
And I thought the build of the chili heat across the glass was really well executed. I thought, it wasn't a punch in the face.
No. No.
It was a background heat which built over time. I again, yeah, superb execution.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite almost beer. It's not, but some kind of progressive. This was the problem. It was like my favorite beer on Friday was an ice cream. My favorite beer on Saturday was a cider.
Oh.
I had I went to the Peckham's stand after we'd finished our sessions on Saturday, and I was finally kind of unleashed to wander about. I managed to spend a bit of time talking to the lovely folks at Peckham's, and they had the Fire and Ice, which was a blend of an ice cider, so a freeze distilled cider with a fire roasted cider. And it was like 10.5%, but it was absolutely fabulous. Just the kind of layers of a little bit of a hint of smoke, but some amazing sweetness and but enough kind of acid and tannin to sort of tie it all together. That was that was fabulous.
Yeah,
Only a
look,
little sample, and that's all you needed. But that
yeah.
was that was really good.
They're doing a fabulous job. Jodie and Lois Scott at Peckham's. I mean, they've had that now for a couple of years, and we'll get to the New World Awards where they've got a couple in there in the top 25. But yeah, they've kind of pared back their core range, but around the fringes, doing some really interesting stuff that I would put in like that into a sort of a where craft beer has come from, in terms of the creativity. And I think I had one earlier this year, and I don't know if it was pouring at Beervana, but the boysenberry and chocolate cider.
Mm.
And part of this isn't going to work. Like, how can you put boysenberry and chocolate into a cider, and what am I going to get? And, it was really cool. It was different, certainly different, but it sort of tasted like a chocolate brownie. And yeah, it was lovely. And so kudos to them. And yeah, I had a really good smoked beer from Mount Brewing, a collab that they did with Boneface, which was smoked pineapple and rosemary.
That sounds interesting.
It was really good. And I don't know if it's this beer precisely, but Boneface have just released a collab. They're calling them joint ventures rather than collabs with Mount Brewing, and I think it's just called Smoked Ale, but I'm pretty sure it's the same beer. But anyway, it was like having a very smoky ham and pineapple pizza in terms of the flavor, because you can taste the pineapple. Yeah.
I guess if I'm not allowed to claim either of those two of my favorites as a beer, then my favorite actual beer probably was the St. Leonard's coffee stout.
Okay. Yep.
And sometimes a coffee stout is both of those things separately. It's like it's a stout and it's got coffee in it, but this to me was so well integrated. The you couldn't tell where the stout finished and the coffee started. They were threaded together. It was just such a well executed beer. And I was talking to Vlad from St. Leonard's about how they made it, and he said, they cold steeped the coffee and they tried various different coffees, and they blended and so on. It was just a really well integrated drink. I love coffee and I love stout, and that was best of both worlds. So I thought that was just so well made.
So yeah, that was Beervana, and there was amazing things happening around the edges of Beervana, including getting to try some Element beers at Monkfish. And it's interesting, my wife came down on the Saturday and spent the day in Wellington, and we were walking down the road. It must have been, is Monkfish in Vivian Street? I should look this up. Yeah. Anyway, we were walking on the opposite side of the road, and she said, "That's a really cool looking little bar. It looks really kind of retro." And I said, "Oh yeah, that's Monkfish." And it was my first visit to Monkfish, and I do recommend it. It's a great wee spot, cozy, and great beers on tap. And yeah, that I have to say that Element Pale Ale, Bathgate Pale Ale, I thought was superb. So well done, Jason, on turning around quite a few beers in a short time and getting some to Wellington. It was a real pleasure to try those.
Yeah, I was so pleased that I managed to sneak in there between Beervana sessions, and my pick of the four. Were there four? I think there were four beers. My pick was the bright IPA. That was that was great. I thought all four were excellent. Jason is an incredibly talented brewer, and it shouldn't surprise any of us that he could just walk into a new environment and immediately crank out four
Yeah,
really top notch beers. So they're great. Lucky folks in the South Island will get to enjoy them a lot more than
yeah,
those of us up in the north. So make sure you get out there and try some Element beers. They were excellent. The other thing, there are a few of those good little events kind of around the side of Beervana. One of the things that I missed out on this year, which is always a highlight for me, usually, is to get to the Garage Project Wild Workshop and and try
mm,
the beers there. So I didn't manage to get there, but I did get to Mean Doses, the tap room there, and they had a tap takeover with
yes,
from Auckland from the Twofold St Leonard's, and it was nice to try some of the Twofold beers in Wellington. If you There's another place. If you're in Auckland, you should get to both of those brew pubs, the Twofold and St Leonard's. They're both places that you won't generally see their beers anywhere else, or at least only rarely. So um, I would um, uh, I would definitely, if you're in Auckland, get yourself to Twofold and St Leonard's, especially now that the weather's getting better. The St Leonard's Garden Bar is a beautiful place
yes.
to
I
spend a
thoroughly
sunny
agree
afternoon.
on both counts. And Mean Doses is another great tap room in Wellington. Really good environment. The food that was coming up from downstairs, I worried because they used to have Mabel's Burmese kitchen underneath Mean Doses, and you could order the food to come up. And I love that kind of food. And I was sort of a bit worried that when it went, that they wouldn't have the same offering, but they have Apache, I think it's called, underneath now. And I saw these burgers coming up, and I believe you had one. They were just tremendous looking. I don't think I could have got my mouth around one. They were massive. Yeah.
Yeah, there was. I did. I actually tried it in Apache downstairs before I went up to Mendoza's. But so Apache used to be down by the town hall, but they've moved up to underneath Mendoza's Vietnamese kind of fusion. And their burger was a fried chicken burger with Vietnamese pate, and was absolutely stunning. Real excellent balance of spice. Um, really good. And as you say, it's a great little spot. Is the Mean Doses tap room, tucked away upstairs, and
Yeah.
but with
Yeah.
lots of little nooks and
Yeah.
crannies. It's
All
it's a
right. So that's
great
our
little spot.
Wellington tourism promotion for the episode, unpaid for. Wellington Culinary Events Trust. Thank you for Beervana and Burger Wellington. Great experience. Uh, Now, New World Beer and Cider Awards. I was rapt when the champion beer for this event got announced as Isthmus 3D IPA. And one of the reasons I was rapt is just like it's been a really tough road for Hamish Ward and his wife Caroline since, well, Hamish was the head brewer at Deep Creek, and they liquidated. He lost his job, so he lost kind of the ability to do Isthmus beers as well. So yeah, it was a tough period for them, you know, in that aftermath of that, and they had been looking to maybe even sort of open up a separate brewery for Isthmus, but when you lose your job and you lose money because you've got a business because Hamish had a stake in Deep Creek as well. It's really, incredibly difficult. Life was hard. And they're going to talk about that in an upcoming podcast, possibly next week, if I get editing. But like, just a great result for them. Like, in the roller coaster that has been their beer life, to have this beer, which is, I didn't know, Martin, but Caroline told me, first brewed in 2014. So it's been around for a while. Yeah, and it's
Wow.
previously been in the New World top 30 as it was before it became the top 25, and has won a gold at the Brewers Guild Awards. So it's not unknown at top tables, but to get champion beer, it has to be, as an IPA, I think it has to be absolutely on song, because it was up against some outrageously flavored beers in the taste of, so yeah, just huge congrats to them. The beer is brewed under contract at Liberty, and Hamish is very full of praise for the Liberty team and their sort of focus on quality, and so kudos to both Isthmus and Liberty for delivering such a great tasting beer. I don't know if you've had a chance to try it lately, Martin.
I have not yet, not recently, but I will be going to the supermarket this weekend, and I will be going to my local New World, and I will be making a selection from that top 25. I think, and certainly, I certainly hope they've got some 3D IPA, because I will be sticking a few in my trolley. It's I remember it from times past. It's always been a great beer. It's just got the bones of a great IPA, and I've always had a huge amount of respect for Hamish as a brewer. He's made some great beers over the years at various places, and both his own beers and the Deep Creek beers.
Yeah.
Some great stuff, and it just absolutely screams good IPA, and it's I like West Coast IPA is probably my favorite style. Maybe if I was to be, if you were to hold me over the coals and make me choose one, I would probably say our West Coast IPA, and it does.
I think one of the interesting things, and we can talk about this a bit more later, actually, maybe we should save this about kind of the structure of it, but it's remained it tips its hat to the type of beer it was and other beers were 10 years ago, in terms of that kind of very malty, as my old colleague Jeff Griggs would always say, the malt cushion is there, but without it getting into too much of that kind of crystal malt that used to dominate a lot of these beers. Anyway, it's a great package as a beer experience. It's the hops are really entrenched in the beer, and it has a nice robust bitterness to finish. So yeah, a worthy champion. Did anything else in that list immediately pop out for your shopping trolley inclusion? Is there anything?
Oh, yeah. My shopping trolley is going to be overflowing. I have to say, I think there's just so many great options in there. I was delighted to see the McLaren's Chili Pilsner in there, the far north. We were talking about chili beers earlier on. Again, I think that this is just the way it hints at the edges. I actually love about what I love about Far North
Mm,
is the chili flavor. You know, you actually get that kind of that almost green capsicum,
yep.
but in a good way, kind of in there along with the heat. I was delighted to see that in there. It's just I
Yep.
think a great food beer. Um, that was a great one for me to see in there. Um, I thought the kind of the lager category was
Yeah. It
really well.
Yeah, it's quite
There was some
diverse,
good
the
options
lagers
in
and
there.
pilsners, if you look at them together, because there's like Tiger, classic. I was going to say green bottle, but I actually think it comes in a brown bottle. But we always get one of these classic lagers. It was Steinlager last year. I think we've had Steinlager Pure, Steinlager Classic, Peroni. There's always one of those that pops up because they are usually really well made and tasty. But then there's the Black Sands Pilsner. I was really pleased for them to see that come up. And that's more leaning towards a European style of Pilsner. And I really like it. It's really snappy and clean. And they've worked really hard on that beer. And I think the results are in this competition prove it. There's the other Pilsner. Oh, Lakeman. Yeah,
Lakeman came back because
yeah,
they took out the
yeah.
champion a couple of
This is
years
their
ago, wasn't it?
third year running with Primate Pilsner in the top echelon, and every time I have this, I just think it's a really good beer, but it doesn't get rated on places like Untapped. But Pilsners are hard to rate anyway, or people don't rate them highly as a rule. And it goes to New Zealand Beer Awards and it gets kind of consistent silvers. But for some reason, it pops up in this competition, or has done 3 years running. And I did a tasting in Auckland with a bunch of kind of media people in the week, the couple of days before Beervana, and I was curious as to what they would think about it in the mix. It was in there; they didn't know it. It was a blind kind of tasting, and but people really loved it, and I just think it's really clean, and it's a really good example of that New Zealand style Pilsner. It's the Black Sands versus the Primate Pilsner would be quite a nice little side by side to get the differences, if you like. Black Sands still has, I think, Motueka hops in it, but that's a European variety in its ancestry, and it's all how they're used
Yeah.
to create those flavors. And I do think those are two really good pilsners, and the Primate's now out in a 440 ml can, which I think is a good move.
Ah,
So you don't have to invest in a 6-pack to get a sample of it, which I think is great. But there's the Spriggan Doppelbock, the goat, is in the lager and pilsner category because a Doppelbock, despite it being 7.2% dark coffee, raisins, etc., it's a lager. And what I really urge, if you're listening to this, people to try is from Heaven's Brewery up past Whangarei, inland from the Tutakaka coast. They're located there near a town called Hikarangi, and they've come up with a beer called Judas Sheep, and it's a Czech style dark lager. And like, I absolutely adored this beer. I thought it was really good. But as soon as I saw it, like, who the hell are Heaven's Brewery? Like, not many people would have heard of them. Had you heard of them?
I had not heard of
No.
them. That this was like, who Who are these people?
Yes, yeah, and we'll keep you on the edge of your seats because I have recorded an interview with Ben Heaven from Heaven's Brewery, and it's a really good story, good backstory, and we'll bring that to you in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, go buy the beer. It's in a bottle, which is unusual, and yeah, it's just a really well executed style. And Ben he's the brewery might be new, but he's got a lot of experience, including brewing cask ale in the north of England.
Oh, then he's all right in my book.
Hey, and I tell you, there are a lot of what I might call classic beers in this lineup. We've mentioned the Doppelbock, which pops up on regular occasions, a former trophy winner at New Zealand Beer Awards. But there is Pernicious Weed from Garage Project, Hallertau number 2, another absolute classic beer in its time. I would say,
My God, now how long has that beer been around now? That
it's
that
20
beer must
years.
have been. If
Yeah,
Hallertau have been around 20 years, then Statesman,
yes,
sorry, number 2, can't must have been one of
yeah,
the first ones
yeah,
out of there. So yeah,
yeah,
that's a classic,
yeah.
absolute classic.
And in terms of success beers, there's a couple of beers in the hazy, juicy category. One is Remarks Hazy IPA from Altitude, which has come into this competition off the back of a trophy at the New Zealand Beer Awards. So kudos to 2 sets of judging panels that they came up with the same
Mm.
conclusion that this is really good beer, because this is a beer that made me reconsider everything I knew about or thought I knew about hazies, because it just hits a bit different. And I don't know whether it
Mm.
was originally a collab with Verdant from Cornwall in England, and uses the Verdant yeast. And I don't know whether that's the X factor or not, but it's a really good hazy IPA. Yeah, and
Yeah, I tried it off the back of it getting the trophy at the Brewers Guild Awards, and like you, I'm not a huge hazy fan, um, but it it does
yeah,
taste great. It's just a great tasting beer, and I I will a few of those might fall into my trolley as well when I do my shopping, and it got there alongside the perennial favourite these days,
oh,
the Good
I
George
know,
Hayes of
yeah,
Glory, which you know, which I think was originally brewed for the Smiths New
yes,
Zealand IPA Challenge a few years ago, and smashed that, and
yeah.
keeps coming
So
back and keeps doing
it won the
well.
Smiths IPA Challenge, and then they won a trophy at the New Zealand Beer Awards with it. And I'm just referring to my notes here. I'm pretty sure it picked up another gold medal recently, if not a gold, a silver at the New Zealand Beer Awards. But it's fast becoming quite a recognised beer, and I don't think it's ever been in their core range, but I have now seen 330 ml cans of it. I think it'll be in the squealer, the 946 ml squealer, on the shelves, but I'm pretty sure they're going to core range it in a 6-pack or at least in single 330 ml cans. So yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because you talked about the Lakeman Primate Pilsner going into single 440s. One of the things that we talked about at Beervana, just as a callback, um, with with Brian Watson from Good George, was how they are now starting to get into the single can format. That seems to be where the industry is shifting at the moment, and that they kind of had hung on to the squealer for for quite a while, but we're now making the move into single cans. So I think it's that will be an interesting episode when we get that one out.
Yeah. I agree. Look, just quickly, the other lager that I forgot to mention. There's a brand called Mad Whale, and that was another one. Like, who the hell are these people? Mad Whale, and they've done a Hellas lager. But I found out subsequently it's brewed at Steam Brewing, and Mad Whale are they're an export company, and they export a variety of New Zealand goods. And when you see the can, it's got sort of, it's black. It's got a New Zealand flag emblem on it. It's very much selling off the back of a New Zealand ink kind of imagery into overseas markets. But it's a very good beer. Anything made by Steam is good, So.
I'd had this beer a little while ago at my mum and dad's house. My dad had a bunch of these Mad Whale cans in the fridge, and I was like, "Who is this? Where did this come from?" And then you look, you kind of you can kind of figure out from the back of the can that it was brewed at Steam, and it's like, right, okay. But yeah, that was it. It is a clean, straightforward lager, so it goes well.
Yeah, it's got it might be a little hoppier than style, I would say, for a Hellas lager. But I think that's deliberately so. I think I got some background inside intel from Steam on that one, which we'll hold off on from now. I don't know if I should be repeating it, but yeah. But no, just in the recipe design and creation. And anyway, look, moving on, because we don't want to we want to finish this within an hour, and we do tend to ramble. Parrot Dog had a good event. Their Thunderbird Bright IPA back 2 years running now in this competition. And the Coconut Hazy IPA, which came through in the fruit and flavored category. Have we talked about coconut beers before? I've never been necessarily a mad fan of coconut. I think it can be overdone.
I think it can, as well as, and also sometimes brewers pair it with Sabro hops, and Sabro throws quite a lot of coconut in itself, and I think that then that it gets sometimes too much. I have to say I've not had this beer, but because it's in the list, I might give it a go. Fruited hazies are not are really not the sort of thing I would go out and choose, unless somebody with an excellent palate had told me that this one was really good. So I might have to give it a go.
Yeah, look, you can debate my palate excellence, but I preface this by saying I don't necessarily love coconut, but it's really well managed in this beer, and it's not over coconutty. And the beer is actually quite dry and a little bit bitter as well. So I think it's actually really well balanced. And look, in our household, my wife she loves hazies, and she probably drinks more of them than I do by a long stretch. And but I said to her, she might be a bit like you, like fruited hazies might be too much. And so I said, look, try this. It might not be your cup of tea, but it was like, oh no, this is fabulous. This is really good. And so I think she's a good judge. So and the other coconut beer in there is from Panhead, and it's called Bounty Hunter, and as the name suggests, coconut and chocolate. You're heading in Bounty Bar direction. But again, this one's quite subtle on the coconut, and the chocolate element. I would say the whole thing with this one is quite a mature Bounty Bar flavor. So it's not overly sweet and cloying, and again, quite dry. So I thought both of those beers, interesting and judicious use of coconut, I think helped them because, you know, they were well balanced. What wasn't well balanced was is Lush from Three Sisters, and we talked about the thickostatic or thickotropic it was at Beervana, and Lush is in the same vein. Like, this is a smoothie sour, as they call it. So it's feijoa, guava, pineapple, vanilla, a ton of lactose, and stand up a spoon in the glass, kind of thick.
Yeah.
But again, at this tasting that I did in Auckland, like, honestly, people are blown away when you tell them that this is a beer because it tastes like your breakfast smoothie. And I know we're here to encourage responsible drinking. Well, we should. But it can still be delicious. And I'm not advocating you have it for breakfast, but
No, we would never do that.
It's really good. Really good. I just go out and try it, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. Anyway,
I think I think my wife will love it. I think I might acknowledge the skill involved in doing it.
Yeah. And of course, as Joe told us, Joe from Three Sisters, like, a lot of these beers are brewed for export, where in China people love them. But
they love the big strong ones as well. They love it with huge amounts of booze in as well. I don't quite understand where that comes from. So, but yeah, I'm being really interested in how well these beers travel.
Yeah,
because they are, there's a lot of ingredients in there that you would want fresh, and that you can imagine that they might settle.
Yeah.
So I'd be really interested to see how some of these kind of smoothie sours travel.
I think on the can it does say invert 3 times before pouring. Don't shake it, just invert it, so you get that even spread of all the stuff that would otherwise settle out. In the opposite direction, because that that is as we say, a dessert sour, smoothie sour. There's a specific low carb category. And I mean, they have low carb because it's such a big deal in the supermarkets. And like, I don't know the data, but it's around maybe 20% of sales in a supermarket are low carb. So because New World are running this, they want low carb beers, and they're not the low carb beers that you necessarily think. 2 came through, both from Urbanaut. One, their very good Copacabana IPA, and which is just a great beer. It's had great longevity. And the other one is their Beat Street Hazy IPA. And I always think, like, hazy and low carb don't go together. So, there's some magic going on there. And of course, a lot of these, the expression is, well, it's a relatively low carb, like it'll be lower carb than other hazies on the market or other hazies that they produce. But because of that Beat Street in particular, it's quite light drinking for a hazy. which if you don't love hazies for the, I don't know, the heavier kind of mouthfeel and texture, it's quite a, it's a good experience, worth trying just to see how it works. But yeah, Copacabana, I really like that beer. It's so light and fruity, and yeah, very well
It's a
done.
great lawnmower beer. It's great. It's probably a little bit stronger than you would want
Yeah,
at 7.1% for a lawnmower beer, but it is that just you've been hot day. It's a real thirst quencher. It's an excellent beer. The
yeah,
little bit of a kick from the hops is just what you need. I think Urban Oak just really know how to make low carb beers.
yeah,
They
yeah,
and they're all delicious. I
yeah,
think the other category that is kind of a real growth area for the supermarkets and for beer in general is the non-alcoholics.
yeah, yes,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
and the one that really stands out for me there is the Peckham's Zero cider. And I finally managed to try that at the Beervana trade show and just before the day before Beervana started because I'd not been able to track it down anywhere. I'd heard good things, and it was absolutely stunning. You could have told me that was a full strength cider,
yeah,
and I would have happily believed you.
yeah, yeah. It
And
loses nothing. It's
it loses
remarkable.
nothing.
Yeah,
They've taken the booze out, and that's it.
yeah,
Nothing came with it, no flavor. It tastes like a really good. Peckham's make really great soda. They've got their classic apple also in
yes,
the top 25, which is such a great everyday cider.
mm,
And they've gone and done it again with the Zero. It's quite possibly my new favorite
mm,
non-alcoholic.
yeah. I
um,
I so agree with
beverage.
you. Yeah, it's and unlike craft beer in particular, as opposed to macro beer, that the Heinekens and Peronis that are able to drag all the alcohol out of their beer, whereas craft, it's brewed to 0.5% or lower. With this Peckham's, I think Jody, his background in winemaking and his connections in that top part of the South Island, he was able to go to Gießen and use their spinning cone, which is a remarkable technology invented in Australia and used in wine. Like, it wasn't designed to make non-alcoholic wines. I can't remember the original purpose of a spinning cone, but they figured out how to drag the alcohol out and put aroma back in. Like, don't ask me how. Like, it's just magic. And so this Apple Zero has all that aroma that you want from those trad cider apples, the traditional funky flavors that you get. And that's what really makes it, I don't know, just so enjoyable, because it's got this lovely traditional cider aroma and flavor still there, like it hasn't been lost to the process. So yeah. The other one in there, having a real run, batch all day hazy IPA, and that's fresh off a gold medal in the Australian International Beer Awards
Mm-hmm.
and also New Zealand Beer Awards. And so it's just interesting that beer has just hit the mark in 3 competitions running. I've always loved the clear original version from batch, but there's some really good flavor in here as well. Yeah, really
Yeah,
good
I think
beer.
so. It does seem to have that. The hazy gives it a little bit more body,
Yeah, yeah,
which helps. When you've got no alcohol in there. So, yeah. So look, they've Batch were the trailblazers to me, and the kind of the modern um,
Yeah,
zero alcohol
absolutely.
beers. They kind of smash the doors open, and everybody else has followed through. I think so. It's another great beer, and I've always got some Batch all day in the fridge.
Yep, yep. For those midweek non-alcoholic days.
Yeah, that was what Brian Watson from Good George was saying in our session, was that Monday is alcohol-free beer night.
Yeah,
Tuesday is single can of Hazer Glory, I think, and
yeah.
then you can kind of work up from there.
build into the week. There's a couple of others I just want to touch on, just so we go through the whole list. And one is the Good George alcoholic lemonade. And again, this is a brewed product, and it's available for sale in the supermarket. These alcoholic ginger beers and lemonades are really on trend at the moment. And it's interesting to see how they're done. This is a malt beverage, so it's made from malt. It's fermented out like a beer, but it's super lemonade-y. And it tastes like lemonade. Like there is no getting around this. It's really good. If you want lemonade and a bit of alcohol. And there's a few others on the market in that ginger beer category, and we could talk about that another time. But we skipped over in the pale ales McLeod's Blue Sky APA, American Pale Ale. And this is another really good beer that's building a little bit of a record just quietly. Trophy at New Zealand Beer Awards last year. I think it was a limited release, and maybe now it's going to have to stick around. Talus hops to the fore in this one, I think.
Yeah.
Not one.
I remember when it came out before that it had the Talus, and Talus is kind of one of those hops you don't see a lot of. Big grapefruit thing from Talus. And I remember when it came out before, it was a really, really nice beer, and it's the classic American Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Really just sits in that, defines that space. I think. So I was glad. Nice to see McLeod's getting a couple in there.
Yeah.
In the top 25, hopefully continuing their run even after Jason has moved on to Element. So
yeah, exactly. And one other one just in the hazies that we forgot to mention from Martinborough Brewing, called Hoppy Haze, and this is the second time in maybe 3 years that Martinborough have had a beer in the New World Awards, and Eugene Black is the brewer there, and I just think he's doing a really good job. And they've moved from bottles to cans, which is another development. So I think, good for them. I did see someone reviewed this straight off the bat and was absolutely raving about it. Someone whose opinion I respect on Instagram, just saying how great it was. And I agree. It's another one of those hazies where you have it and it slightly changes the way you think about hazies. If you think they're all just a bit cloying and sweet and maybe one-dimensional, which is a criticism leveled at them, I'd say have a go at all of these and in the New World Awards, and just, I don't know, give them another chance, maybe. Yeah.
I always have a soft spot for the Martinborough beers because they've got my initials on the can. So
of course, yes, brewed for you specifically.
Yeah.
And spicy pickle beer from Garage Project.
Yes. How can we forget?
Yeah,
the spicy pickle beer.
It's so good. It's like, honestly, like pickle beer last year at the New World Awards was a bit of a guess it was a bit of a surprise, and I'm talking just with a little bit of inside knowledge in terms of how these awards work, that I don't think New World expected it to sell as well as it did. It
Okay.
it went off, and so for it to back up with the spicy version, which is because the original pickle beer's got a bit of chili in it, but the spicy version comes in just a bit harder. But again, it's balanced, and as much as you can say that a beer that tastes like pickle juice is balanced, but you can have a bad pickle, right? Like you know, it's
Yeah.
if you too
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
sugar, salt, or whatever, you know. So they've got this one just
I would
right.
be interested to give it another try because I haven't had it for quite a while. I always did think that the spicy version of the pickle beer was better than the OG.
Okay, yeah,
Because I think I just found there was a little bit too much sweetness in the straight pickle beer. Although yeah, there is kind of the sourness in there, but I kind of got a bit of an overriding sweetness.
yeah,
And I think that that just that little prickle of heat
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
helps give it a little bit more structure. And yeah, it's I seem to remember that because Garage Project occasionally do kind of a pickle festival type thing. They did a like a super spicy
okay,
version of the pickle beer, and that was hot. That that had some spice. Or was it a chili festival? I can't remember, but there
yeah,
was. I'm sure I have been to the Garage Project tap room in Kingsland and had like three versions of pickle beer, going from no spice to ultra spice.
yeah,
I
yeah.
may be completely making this up now, but it's certainly I certainly remember something like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting beer, and
yes,
yes, absolutely, people should try these things. You should
yeah, they
play,
should.
as we were saying with the Beervana uh, bit earlier on.
Yeah,
Just try, try a beer made into an ice cream. Try something that's green. Try something with ants in it. Try a German Pilsner.
yeah.
Just try everything.
I totally agree, Martin. So yeah, if these new World Beer Cider Awards, they're on promotion for I think about a month. So towards the end of September, it should be in all your local New World stores. So yeah, pop in, give it all a go. Buy all 25 if you like. But you know, spread them out. Right, we went over the hour. Bad us. Anyway, Martin, I think we should wind it up here for another week, and we'll be back with Isthmus Brewing and then Heavens Brewery. What else have we got lined up? We've got some Sawmill down the line, some Hallertau.
We've got we'll be talking to some of the OGs of the Auckland beer scene in Hallertau Epic. So I'm going to be talking to them, and we have a whole heap of stuff from Beervana, which we need to figure out how we're going to release.
Yes.
So we don't go away. There will be plenty of Third Pint Theory content coming to a podcast near you very, very soon.
Probably all the way through to Christmas by now, the amount of content we're building up. So yeah. So thank you again for joining us, listening, and until next time, we'll see you later.